Do. Hi, Judith.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome back to our coding session of the virtual bookshelf. My name is Nils. I'm a designer and UI developer, and I'm here with
Judith. I'm a freelance software engineer. And yeah, I like to code stuff. And together we are live coding a virtual bookshelf. So it's kind of rapid prototyping. Yes, and we are recording everything. And where did we leave off? So far we set up like a tiny little prototype where we can display some books which we save in a database in Supabase, in a PostgreSQL database. And last time we managed to save some books, so write stuff into our database. That was nice. Yeah, and I think that's where we will continue today. So let me share my screen. Cool. So yeah, I think this is where we left off. This is what it looks like right now. Very basic. We can add a new book, I think. Test book. Test. But as you can see, when we add the book to the library, the dialog remains open, so that's not great. So we should probably change that. But yeah, at least our book gets saved.
Super cool. And then, yeah, so we wanted to get to deleting and editing, right?
Yes.
And I think last time we left off with a handful of issues. And you did some secret work right before the show, right? I mean, it was small stuff, but
Yes.
like for our attentive viewers, especially the going from uncontrolled to controlled thing is maybe interesting to run by them really quickly.
Yes, absolutely. So we had a couple of warnings, errors in the dev console regarding our form. So this input form that we have here. And the warning message complained that we are changing, I think it was from an uncontrolled component to a controlled component. Because we are using React hook form, which I think is quite common for working with forms in React. And right here, we are setting default values. And since only the title is required, we had set the default values for all other fields to be undefined, since our backend will be fine with receiving undefined as a value for these fields. But React hook form doesn't like that. So I did some research on the internet, and turns out, undefined is not a valid default value for React hook form. So we have to set all of these default values to empty strings, which is fine. Then we don't get these errors anymore. The only issue is if we leave one of these fields empty. So for example, if we don't specify the author, we would send an empty string to our backend and also save an empty string as the author name. And I think that's not super pretty. I would rather send undefined in that case, because then Supabase will save the column as null instead, which I think looks much cleaner rather than an empty string. So what we are doing instead now is transforming the values before we send them to the database. So we are just checking if for anything but the title, the value is an empty string. And if so, we are sending undefined. And yeah, if it's not an empty string, we are sending the actual value, just to make sure we are not writing empty strings into our database. And then for the two number fields that we have, so that was the publication year and the rating, we also have to convert it back to a number.
Nice. I just spotted that. I wanted to call it out that I saw you doing nice things there.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's the right format.
I'm like not 100% happy with it, but that's fine because we're prototyping. The thing that bugs me really a little bit is we are using Zod to define our schema. And And then in the end, we kind of have to do this magic transformation again anyway. And also what I don't like, I had to change the ZOD type for our publication year and rating also to a string, even though they are numbers. Because for a number, we don't really have a nice empty default value. I could leave it to number, but then I have to give a default value, which can't be undefined. It can't be null. So I don't know, I could say something like 5 or 0, but then we would always have a default value. But what I want instead is no value at all and just our placeholder displayed. So
Man, yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit sad.
It's a little bit sad. I was also surprised that there's no better solution for that, given that I would say React Hook form is the de facto standard for dealing with forms in React.
Toads.
But I don't know. Maybe they will find a solution for that at some point.
You know
but
what
again,
would be super
we're
ideal?
prototyping. It works, so it's all good.
Yeah, that's true. But what would be really awesome, let's say, I don't know even if it's remotely possible, but we had the TypeScript interface defined for one book, right? Let's say you could just take the interface and chuck it at hook form and, just make form with this and infer like the input types, if it's required or not, like the defaults, like all of that sort of stuff that we're kind of wrangling manually now. But yeah, I mean, maybe that's also too much magic in one box.
I think we can do it, but the other way around. So I would actually argue that this interface we defined here, it's almost a little bit redundant, because what we could do instead is define our schema with ZOD and then just say our book is this one here, this type of form schema. That does exactly that, because type of form schema is essentially a book without the ID, which is also why we can even put it into our create book function, because that takes a book without the ID. So,
cool. But then we have the number issue, right? Like that we can't say rating is a number in ZOD.
Yes, exactly.
That's
so,
it.
I mean, we can do it, but then we have a strange default value in our input. So maybe that's something to ponder a little bit, how to handle these cases best. For now, I think it's fine, but these are like the nitty-gritty details of dealing with forms.
It's so interesting, right? Like whenever somebody says, let's make a form, everybody goes like, forms. And then you're like, but it can't be that hard to put a couple fields on a web page to save stuff, right? And then it always kind of is. Forms have this thing.
And also, it's so interesting. I think I used React Hook form in probably at least 6 different projects so far. And every time I'm thinking like, okay, I used React Hook form before. It can't be that difficult. But every time I run into new errors and issues that I haven't had previously, I'm like, how is that possible? Like, but
I think that's the life of a front-end developer, right?
Yes.
Like, this is, I don't know, this is how life goes. It's so interesting. And even, I gotta say, like, even like in a super reduced example like that, I think even if I just open an HTML file and install Tailwind, I could run into stuff that I didn't encounter before. I don't know. And it's, I mean, software is weird. So here we are.
Yeah, definitely. It's keeping us on our toes, I guess.
Cool. So, but next steps, close the dialog when we save it.
Yes, close the dialog.
Reset the form.
Reset the form, because when we like type something into here, I guess, and open it again, we don't want this like leftover input stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, close the form, and I think then we should be ready to maybe look at deleting stuff.
Yes.
Cool.
Deleting stuff is one of my favorite activities anyway.
Oh yeah, and I cleaned up some of the test data we created last time from our database.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we don't have all those empty test books in here, but of course it would be nice if we could do that from the UI. So let me think. For closing the dialog and resetting it, I guess we would have to do that from the main app component, right?
Yeah,
because that's the one that controls whether our dialog is visible or not.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so we have the dialog element and the dialog trigger, right? That's the way that ShadZN set it up.
Right.
But really, how can we tell it to go away again?
That's a good question. I completely forgot how we did it because we're using this ShadZN stuff. I was kind of expecting that we have like a use state in here, which is like
Right?
is modal open or something. But we don't have that.
There's no prop that says anything.
I guess time to look at the docs.
Time to look at the dogs.
Custom close button. Share.
To activate the dialog component within a context menu, no. Custom close button.
There's a dialog close button. But
we kind of don't want it.
The button.
We want programmatic access to state. Give it. Where can we have it?
Notes.
I'm asking our digital friend.
Very good.
And it's talking about state.
Yeah.
And then? Yeah, but oh, is that true? So ChatGPT is saying that oh, look at that. It has a prop that says open or not.
I think we can use that, right? We didn't have to so far, but we can.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, let's try it. So
Let's
we
try
can
it.
probably take over control, I guess, of that dialog.
So, yeah, my question is, if we put in a use state now and put that on the open prop and so on, like, will the button update this state? You know, like, are we taking over the state from ShadZN? But let's try, I guess.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's try. So, dialogue. No, what? Be explicit. New book dialogue. Open. Right? Said. Open? Yeah? Is that,
Yes. Yeah.
Is that what you would do?
Absolutely.
False in the beginning. Right?
Yeah.
You can totally infer that type. And then, right, and then what, like open, curlies, book dialogue, open.
Exactly.
Okay. And if I put tree here, it does open. That's a that's a good sign. So we could okay, but that's not what we're doing. So whoop.
But now I guess it does not close, right? Does it have like
Well,
an on
oh,
close or something?
oh, and it doesn't open anymore either.
It doesn't
So I
open
guess
anymore.
by doing that, we just detach it from the internal state, which is, I think that's actually kind of good, I suppose. Or is it? Like, do we add then on the dialog trigger? Do we go on click and then, like
Yeah.
set new book dialog open true? Oh yeah, it's forbidden. Sure, I can totally do that, Tom. Doink. Okay, we can open it. That's cool. It's a bit sad that that now the click outside and escape handling is gone.
Yeah.
Is that the way, Judith? Is it the way?
There must be a better way, I'm thinking.
Ah,
I also so I just googled our issue,
no.
and it seems that the dialog used to close when you click the submit button, but it doesn't do that anymore. So maybe there's an easier way to.
Yeah, because what we're doing now is kind of reinventing the wheel, right?
Yeah, that's not pretty.
Hmm. Okay. I'll get rid of that stuff again.
Okay, what do we do with that now?
That is very weird, right? So the digital friend is talking about using a ref on the dialog. And oh, so if you have the ref, then you can say dialog ref.current.close, as in maybe that type of function accesses the internal state,
Oh,
so
right.
so we actually don't put anything on the open prop, and by that hopefully don't, like destroy destroy the whole thing, and we just put like a ref on here. Okay, say dialog ref. I don't know. Let's see. But can we? Oh, but it This at least feels like there's no ref exposed on the dialog element.
So,
Hmm.
okay. That's strange.
It is super strange.
But even in the docs of ShadZN, the submit button does not close the dialog. So that's really weird.
It is. I think it's super weird, to be honest. Like, I mean, because this is kind of the only thing that we want, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's not true. We actually also wanted to, well, to either unmount the form and by that kind of reset it, right?
Mhm.
Or to reset it. Like, if it's actually still there in memory.
That I would hope is easier, because that I think should really work with the React hook form. So basically in handle form submit, create book,
And then reset it. Like after Superbase comes back and says, thanks, I got it.
exactly. So I think we should be able to just do form dot reset.
Okay. Well, in the spirit of prototyping, I'll just still try the ref thing, even if TypeScript does not agree.
Yay.
Oops. Use ref. Yoink.
Mm-hmm.
This is what? It's just one variable here, so don't freak out. Okay, so dialog ref. Okay, and so what? Let's just have like a random button in here, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Close dialog test, and then in our on click, we'll just go super weird. Please don't do this anywhere in production code.
Don't repeat this at home.
Kids, don't do this at home. So, I can't. Well, I can't have this button here. Because if I open it, I can't click on the button.
Right.
So I actually have to move this. Oh, but I can just move this button inside of the dialog. That's all good. Here, we just yank it in there. Okay. Fragment? Yeah. Please rescue me. I'm doing the weirdest things.
What are you?
I'm trying to just put this button into like alongside the add book component. That's probably.
But the thing is, that's another strange thing about this ShadZN dialog component. We kind of have half of it in our app component and the other half in the add book component, because the actual modal where you probably want your button to be, that's all in add book. But then in add book, we don't have our ref for the dialog because that's back in app.
Okay, but I mean, we can totally add this, right? We can say dialog ref.
Yes.
And just chuck it in there. Let's see. And then we're going to the book. We're having the dialog ref. I hope.
Yes.
And then somewhere down here, we're gonna, oops, I'm getting in too fast. Button, close dialog, button. And or I mean, we don't even have to do all of this. We can just, anyway, we can also just in the handle submit functions call the thing.
Yes.
but he just wanted to see if this even exists, right? Like, this is even a weird option thing to like. Oh,
Oh, what is going
now
on?
it's unhappy. Oh no, it's just
All right,
all
all
right.
right.
No, I can't. No, properties are undefined.
Ooh,
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's not. It's not having a ref. Sadness. It's also not the prettiest API to have to pass along a ref to.
yeah,
So, so that is sad.
that is a little bit sad. I'm also not too happy with kind of, as you said, reinventing the wheel there. Um,
Right?
what I would love is if there was just like an on-close function that we could pass to our add book function. Because right now, for example, we are resetting the form when we submit, but we would
Mm,
also like to reset it when we close it for other reasons by clicking outside
yeah,
of the form or pressing the
yeah.
escape key or something. Um, so maybe, I don't know, we should just do some more research for how to handle this ShadZN dialog component. And then either they have a way to do it.
Hmm.
I think there must be a way. It
There
would be
must be a
weird, I
way.
think.
Are we the only
Um,
people who want to close a dialogue?
that would be strange,
It's super
I
weird.
think.
Maybe it's really a bug because anything that ChatGPT is spitting out is super ridiculous stuff. Like this is all repeating the functionality that we have with the
Yeah,
escape and the click outside and like
definitely. So
right?
I would say shadcn is quite a few people use it also for production scale applications, but it's definitely no material UI or something like
Mm.
that. So yeah, I've had like a few moments where it was a bit buggy. I even filed a bug report once, but I think they fixed it. So yeah,
Cool.
maybe we will just like take a look at how to do this properly. Um,
And come back
and
in the
come
next
back
video.
to
Eh?
that
Yeah.
next time before we
Let's delete
spend.
something.
Let's
Let's
delete
have more
something.
fun and delete a book.
Yes, let's be destructive.
Good. So what
We
do we do
already
for
have
that?
a placeholder, I guess, for the delete icon.
Yeah.
So
My
maybe let's turn that into an actual icon.
my immensely pretty.
Immensely pretty. So I think shadcn already comes with a set of icons, which is called Lucid.
Oh, really?
I think so. So where's our huh? Probably in our book card. Delete icon here. So I think we can probably use like the shadcn button, which we already have. Nice.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm a bit lost without my editor shortcuts here. Yes, and then in here, I think we could, if you just go like trash too, that should already
Awesome.
render our icon. It's not pretty.
What? This is so cool.
It's cool, right?
It is super
I think
cool.
we can probably do two more things. If we say variant ghost, it looks a bit less buttony and a bit more icon-y. And I think we can also say size is icon.
Yeah, you did. Very nice.
Not too
Super
bad, hey?
nice. Absolutely.
So I think we can
Get rid of that weird
get rid of
thing.
that.
And then, yeah, I mean, the positioning is lame.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe where does the trash can go on this? This is like a lower right or upper upper right corner.
Definitely right. Right?
Right?
I don't
Right.
really care if it's like the upper right or the lower right, but this sort of left alignment doesn't look too good. So maybe
Okay.
for now we can kind of keep it where it is, but just align it to the right.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. Like this is, I'm gonna fix this right now. This is
Yes,
the
please
designer
fix
coming
it.
in. So I'm suggesting just
Ooh.
we'll do upper right, and then we
Yes.
can just chuck this in a header element and say
Yes.
flex and say gap, whatever, 2. And then
Nice.
class name, of course, we're in left. Class name, flex, gap, and then I don't know, just go justify between. And
Nice.
item center. And, or actually item start. Yeah. Come on.
Nice.
That's,
That looks
you
a
know,
lot better. And
that's
we will
not cool.
probably later on also have like
Cool.
a little edit icon. So
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how far we take this podcast, this tutorial series, we can also use the fancy pants pull down menu they have in ShadZN, like and then hide it
Exactly.
behind this keep-up menu or something. But
Yeah.
trash can, we have a trash can.
We have a trash can. So let's make it do stuff, I would say. So where do we start? Maybe let's write our delete book function, I would say, in our books service. So we have get all books, create book. So maybe let's delete an async function again. And I would say all it needs is a book ID, which could be a string, I guess. Or is it a number? I'm not sure. We will check in a second. Do you remember?
Can I check for you on Superbit?
We can just check it in our interface, I think. So it's a number. Yes. And then let's maybe quickly just check the Superbase docs.
It is a number.
But it will be
integer.
Very similar to what we did before. So here we have the documentation for the JavaScript client. Delete data. Easy. So let's just copy that.
For Superbase, I really like it. I think we talked about it in one of the first episodes, right? Like the API they have going on with the functions, that it feels a little SQL-y.
Yes.
Right? I think that's kind of cool.
Definitely. And it's I would say it's also very similar to some of the popular ORMs that are out there right now.
Oh, yeah?
So
cool.
That's pretty nice. So we are deleting from books ID number.
Yeah.
That's all. And then we can do this again and throw the error if we have one. And that really should be all.
And do we return anything from delete? Like we had this discussion the other day for when we created the book, right?
Right.
But in
True.
the delete case, I suppose we only return something if it's an error, like if it didn't go through.
Exactly. So I don't think we need any sort of return value there.
Cool.
Yeah, so that might already work. So let's maybe just have like a little function here, because I don't know if our on-click function can be async on the button. Do you know that? I'm not sure.
Let's try.
We can also try it.
Let's try.
I think we might need like a little wrapper function. So let's say on click. we're gonna do, what do we call it? Delete
I think
look.
in a production code scenario, I would totally agree. Let's have like a little handler function.
Yeah. Ooh, we don't have the ID.
Oh no!
But I think we can just pass it because we are kind of no, it's fine. I think we can just
get it.
just structure it. We already have the whole book.
Oh, but I think we're taking it out to use it in the key as the key in the loop. Is it still there then? Oh no, maybe it's still there. If we say book.id and then we spread the entire book, I hope it's still there. This is stuff I'm always fuzzy about.
I think maybe
it should
could
be there,
fine.
Right?
First, find our function services. Oops.
Oh, maybe you go add slash and like in the first line.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
I know.
But I still prefer it.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah. So yeah, now we're kind of in that situation that it doesn't want the function to be async. I guess we can't just say, oh wait. But that's all right. Say, we can probably just say like const on daily button click. And then here we're just doing this. And just catch any error, I guess. Okay, it's still not happy. I think we can even just say pencil.error.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
Cool.
Oh my god. Did you? Yeah!
It's gone! Cool.
Happiness only fraud developers understand.
Right?
Totally. So cool.
One thing I've noticed also with adding new books, our list of books is not really updating. That's because right now, so we're kind of building like an SPA here, which I think these days no one ever does anymore. And this is one of the reasons I would say why these SSR frameworks are cool, because then probably the list would update automatically without having to reload. We can also do that in an SPA if we use something like React Router, because then we would be on a route which is in this case probably called books, and then you could simply say invalidate the books route, and then it would fetch the data again. So maybe that's just something to keep in mind, that it's not great user experience, I would say, that you kind of have to refresh the page to see the updated data. So that's something we could improve. Also, I would always say for deleting, we should probably have like a little bit of a confirmation thing to ask, do you really want to delete that? Because I just clicked that button and it was gone. So yeah,
Totally.
that's maybe like the two things we could definitely improve. Have like a confirmation for deleting stuff, and use something like React Router to automatically refresh the data when we do, well, any sort of CRUD operation, really.
Because that's what you're saying, right? Like if we don't go on another route and invalidate whatever is being there right now,
Exactly.
we would have to just call fetch books again, the thing that we have on app, right? And have it update the UI then, and that would lead to us passing around functions and having this sort of spaghetti prop drilling that people don't like. Yeah, all right.
So yeah, I think that's definitely one thing that's cool and a little bit easier about these SSR frameworks like Next.js or Remix or something, that you are a lot closer to your data on the server.
Yes. I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, I think there's a reason why everyone is using them. I think they're great to use. I thought it might be a little bit overkill for the little prototype we're trying to do here. But for these things, it would definitely make it easier. But yeah, we are deleting stuff, so that's cool.
That's pretty cool. Would we also, if we introduce router, would we also have then a route to add a new book, for example? You know?
That's a good question. I would say probably not. I mean, I think we probably wouldn't have like a separate create route or edit route, but rather one route for books, as in show us all the books, and maybe one route for a single book. I think that would be like that would be then kind of /books/book ID, and then you would kind of see a single book. But that's a good question, actually. But I think, we wouldn't necessarily have a separate route just for creating a book, unless we wanted our create book dialog to be on a separate page, maybe, instead of this pop over modal that we have.
I see.
Then I think we would need a separate route.
I mean, in prototypey land, we could probably... we could also... Like now, we have the books in our use state on the app.
Yes.
Right? So what it does currently is like the app kind of loads and then we make this state for books. And then we use this effect hook that is just once, like on mount, and it only goes exactly once. And goes, fetches the books and sticks it in the state, and then, they are there. And this way, if we do anything new or delete it or whatever, because the effect hook just fetches the book just once, that's why the UI doesn't update, right?
Yes, exactly.
So we could kind of, to put like the books in a context or something, or in a fancy pants, the state library or whatever, where you can just call the set books thing, or like have like a global function that updates the books and puts it in this funky state, and just call that whenever we fiddle with data and so on. But I'm not sure.
So what we are doing here to fetch the data is very sloppy. But again, we're in prototypey land, so all good, I would say.
Right.
I think if we wanted to make it cleaner, I would probably prefer to really use React Router as kind of a state management solution.
Yes.
There's like this whole thing on the internet where they describe how you can use React Router as a state management solution instead of something like Redux, and I think it is super clean. So I love it to really use it for kind of managing the state of your data, not managing UI state. I think something like use context or Redux or something can still be great to manage something like UI state, like, I don't know, light or dark mode or something, but it's something different. And for managing the state of our data, I think React Router can be a great solution, because you can just invalidate your queries and say, okay, I just updated my books, please fetch them again. And this is a little bit geeky, but actually React Router will now kind of be merged with Remix. I don't know if you know Remix.
I was about to say that what you're describing is kind of the whole concept of Remix, right?
Exactly.
Like, this is where they came along. And I remember this talk by Ryan Florence where he said, well, so now we have Remix and we built all of these amazing things, especially for data fetching on subroutes and so on. And now we kind of have to get everything we put into Remix back into only Router.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, in
I'm
this
pretty
sense, we could even
excited
think
about
about
it.
upgrading the app to Remix or whatever.
Yes. I think Remix is super neat. Like, just it takes some time to wrap your head around how to fetch and update data with these loaders and actions and stuff. But I think it's a really nice way to think about the kind of the flow of data on your server. And Remix, I think, was always very heavily based on React Router, and now they decided to just put all the Remix stuff into React Router. So I think if you are already using React Router for a single page application and you don't want to do SSR, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to do the Remix way, but you can. So all the Remix functionality with the next release, I think, will be available in React Router. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because I first learned about React Router and then about Remix, and then I was like, I don't know, it was almost the same thing, but not quite. And I think that's also why they decided to really merge the two projects.
Cool.
Yeah, so that would be a nice thing to add, but who knows if that makes sense for our little app here.
Well, I mean, one part of the prototype is to also keep it easy, right? So sure, like, if we're at this fork now where we can either pass around a bunch of functions to update state, right?
Yeah.
Or we integrate Router. I would personally say, since we're the boss of this project, let's do whatever we like best. And I think that is kind of a cool idea. So let's do this in the next episode. Like, let's integrate Router. And see how we go.
Let's do it. Nice. Exciting.
Right? Awesome. And we'll figure out how to close a dialogue.
Yeah. Who would have thought that this will be our biggest issue today, how to close a dialogue? But here we are. We'll figure it out.
And we'll need that anyway. Like, we'll be opening and closing that form for various things. So
yeah.
We kind of need it anyway, right? And know how to put data in the form if we're editing a book, how to blank out a form if you dismiss it, for example, or maybe we even don't want it. Like, maybe we actually want to keep it as a draft there or whatever. But then the button shouldn't say add new book, continue draft. Like, let's not go nuts. But like, I think figuring out how to do this is an essential thing. So we'll research that and come back to you with the solution. Cool. That was another fun episode you did.
Yes, it was great.
Nicely. Cool. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll continue this next week. And we'll work with React Router. Very nice.
Nice.
All right.
Cool. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.